If you are here to present on an item today and have a presentation, please go to the podium to ensure that your presentation has been received. Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome to the Friday, October 11th Board of Adjustment meeting. We apologize for the delay in getting started a little bit late. We appreciate your patience with us. Before I start, I just want to say I'd like to, on behalf of the entire board, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that's been impacted by Hurricane Milton. We keep getting lucky in South Florida, and we breathing a sign of relief. But we wish those impacted, the best, and I'm sure we'll all be there to support them back in recovery. With that, let's go ahead and take attendance. Mr. Madden, if you can go ahead and do that,
Sure.
please.
Mr. Goldberg? Present.
Here.
Mr. Acion?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Krennic?
Yep.
Mr. Nagler?
Here.
Ms. Silverman?
Here.
Mr. Silvers is absent.
Okay.
So we do have a quorum.
Okay, so perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, if you can give instruction on how to participate via Zoom and swear in, I guess, the public that's here, and if there's anyone on Zoom, when it comes up, you'll swear them in at that time. Mr.
Sure.
City Attorney,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, all. Today's meeting of the Board of Adjustment has been scheduled in a hybrid format, with a quorum of the board physically present in the Commission chambers located at 1700 Convention Center Drive, and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via the Zoom platform. In order to participate in today's meeting, those wishing to participate via the Zoom platform webinar may dial 888-853-5257, which is a toll-free number, and enter the webinar ID, which is 828-6961-5309, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 828-6961-5309. Any individual wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they are participating by phone. Before swearing in those that are testifying today, I'm going to remind all and read into the record the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before speaking to the board. You do not have to register as a lobbyist if you are speaking only on your behalf and not any other party, or if you are testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express support of or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you are an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. For those that will be testifying today and that are here in chambers, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Are you guys testifying? Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll continue with swearing in those folks virtually as they come in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Do we have any discussion items, Mr. Madden?
We have no discussion items today.
Okay, in your package that was sent out, you had the minutes from our meeting on September 3rd. Hopefully you had a chance to review that. And if there's no changes or corrections, I'll...
The location needs to change.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, so, yeah.
Correct the location.
We're going to change the location of the agenda. We were not at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Again, Ms. Silverman, we apologize for that. So let's go ahead and motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Okay. Got a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Acion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are passed. Thank you. We have one request for a continuance. It's going to be ZBA 24-0161, 605 Lincoln Road, Unit 800RF. Can you please tee that up for us, Mr. Madden?
Sure. This is an administrative appeal of the planning director's decision, and the applicant has requested that it be continued due to some unforeseen circumstances that they've had, and they were not able to make the meeting today.
Okay, we
So
don't,
they'd like to continue it to the November 1st meeting.
we don't need to vote on that, do we? Or we do?
Yes, we would need a,
Okay,
we
so
would
we
need a
need a
motion and a
motion
second.
to approve the continuance?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Davis, second by Mr. Krennic. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Continuing on, do we have any previously continued applications?
We have no previously continued applications.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and take up our first application. We have a total of 3 for this meeting. That's going to be ZBA 24-0164, 5451 Alton Road. Can you please tee that up for us, Mr. Batten? Thank you.
Yes. So this is an application has been filed requesting variances for the required front, interior, side, and some of side yard setbacks, and to exceed the maximum unit size and lot coverage in order to construct a 2-story addition to an existing single-family home. For background, this home did receive a variance from the Board of Adjustment in August of 1998, and that was to waive the minimum required front setback in order to construct a garage at the existing single-family home. The property is located on Alton Road. It fronts the Lagorce Golf Course on the rear. The home currently experiences significant flooding from the golf course, and they would like to improve the home and make the home more resilient, raise the ground floor, and as part of that, do a second-story addition to the home. As a result of that, the home has existing non-conforming setbacks, an existing variance that was issued for the garage that they would like to keep, and as a result of these changes, they would need other variances in order to do the second-story addition as part of the home, because they would like to follow the existing building, the existing walls of the single-story home. So they're doing a second-story addition that will essentially follow those same walls. So the first variance that they're requesting is of the maximum lot coverage for a 2-story home. So the maximum lot coverage for a 2-story home is 30%. However, for a single-story home, it's 40%. Today, it complies with the lot coverage. Once they add that second home, technically they would be required to remove portions of the home in order to comply with the 2-story lot coverage, which is lower than the single-story lot coverage. So that does represent a practical difficulty and a hardship for them. Currently, they would be allowed 30%. The current home is at 37.3% of a lot coverage, and they would be increasing that to 38.4%. Still lower than what would be allowed for a single-story home, but it is slightly higher because they do need to do some modifications to the ground floor in order to be able to access that second story. Staff is supportive of that variance. The second variance is for the required side yard setback of 7 feet 6 inches, and the sum of side yard setbacks, which is of 25%, for lot widths that are less than 65 feet. And that's in order to do the second-story addition. The single-story home already has these setbacks. In order to go up, they need the variance to be able to have the second floor at those same setbacks. Again, staff is supportive of keeping existing homes and making existing homes resilient, so staff is supportive of this variance. It is a practical difficulty for the applicant. The third variance that they're requesting is of the maximum unit size of 50%. In order to construct the addition. So they're going to be requesting a variance that will allow them to go to 51.8% of the maximum unit size. This is in order to do some minor additions that are necessary to access the second level, the steps, and some other things that are necessary. It's a minor increase that makes the addition workable, and staff is supportive of this variance. Overall, additionally, they have a variance which will be continuing the variance that was approved back in 1998 of the first-story setback for what was the garage. That garage area will be converted into a golf cart garage in the front, a mechanical room in the middle, and then the remainder of it will be turned into an office. Currently, I believe that space is used, there's a space behind it that's used for a kitchen. The kitchen will be relocated to what is today the garage, the garage will be relocated to what is today the kitchen. And so the home will continue to have a 2-car garage, but it will just be located in a different area. The mechanical room is intended to conceal all of the mechanical equipment so that it doesn't impact the neighbors. So that sort of offsets some of the negative impacts of the side yard setbacks. So staff is supportive of that variance, given that it was previously approved, and it's just a continuation of a previously approved variance. So overall, staff is supportive of the requested variances and recommends that the Board of Adjustment approve the variances subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Thank you. Do we have any disclosures? Okay. Showing none, the applicant, Ms. Spetavacoli, I believe you're going to be presenting to us, so can we go ahead and set the clock at 10 minutes?
I think you did most of our presentation, but we'll repeat it, just, you know. And we do want to hand something out for all of you to see. Okay, if we can have the first screen, please. Nay? Okay, thank you. I'm Myra Diaz-Baracavoli, and with me is my son, Michael Baracavoli. We're here to present to you today our proposal to renovate our home, shown on the screen above, and request the board's approval to accommodate the necessary changes. The home was built in 1948. We purchased the home in 1980, and we added in 1999 some living space and a one-car garage. Currently, the home is occupied by my son Michael, his wife, and his son Winston. Our home is directly behind Lagorce Golf Course, as mentioned by Rogelio. The golf course was renovated in '93, and at that time, Miami-Dade County, Durham, requested that there be low retention areas behind our home and throughout the golf course. These low retention areas are designed to collect water and drain the water into the lakes of the golf course and eventually into Indian Creek Waterway and Biscayne Bay. However, during high tide and heavy rainfall, the water does not drain. And sometimes actually water from these waterways comes into the golf course, furthering the severe flooding on the golf course and in our property. Alton Road also floods. The flooding has repeatedly damaged our home. Water from the golf course enters the north crawl space of the house, exits through the south crawl space, and attempts to flow onto Alton Road only to meet the flooding on Alton Road. Water stays in the crawl space for several days or weeks until it evaporates. This has resulted in damage to the wood floor trusses as well as the wood floor. Water from the golf course as well as Alton Road has also gone into the garage as well as the equipment room and has damaged some of the equipment there as well. The state of Florida is working on a design to renovate Alton Road and replace the storm drains with a 10-foot diameter storm drain. This project, however, has been delayed for 15 years and it's now scheduled for 2035. Visible on the screen above are pictures from the recent rainstorm. Water from Alton Road has led to knee-deep levels in front of our home, which is the top right picture. And the remaining squares show the golf course water flooding into our backyard, our side yards, and the crawl space. The continuous water damage has necessitated the replacement of floor trusses and the floors in 2016 and in 2021. Despite these repairs, persistent flooding continues to weaken the structure and affect our safety. This is documented in claims to the insurance company.
We applied for and received the City of Miami Beach Private Property Adaptation Program, also known as the PPA, matching grant. This grant was awarded to homes most affected by flooding. Our property received a recommendation from the city's consultant to elevate the structure as a primary mitigation strategy. Given our significant investment in sustainability, we want to protect our home from flooding while also retaining its value. Since elevating the home was the primary recommended mitigation strategy, we considered two options. Option one, elevate the home to base flood elevation plus 2 feet while maintaining the outside walls and renovating the interior. Or option two, demolish the home and build new construction. We met with 3 contractors and 4 architects to determine the costs and resources needed for both options. We found no significant construction cost advantage to demolition versus elevating and renovating. However, there is a property tax advantage when a home is renovated versus new construction. Following this primary mitigation strategy for flooding, which is beyond our control, already incurred a substantial cost. As longtime homeowners in Miami Beach with a homestead exemption, we did not see the need to build new construction and incur significant property tax ramifications. Building new construction would dramatically increase the property tax value, adding a further financial burden to our sustainability efforts. I grew up in the house, and I'm now raising my family in the house, and we plan on staying for a very long time. Therefore, we decided to elevate and renovate.
Since we decided to elevate and renovate, we considered changes to the interior of the home to accommodate a growing family and the lifestyle changes that came about as a result of post-COVID. Things have shifted significantly where both parents now are working from home. This change demands additional secluded spaces for professional activities which are essential for privacy during work-related tasks. Michael is a realtor working from home. Allison, his wife, has a remote job that involves daily Zoom calls. Their jobs require them to work in different spaces to avoid interrupting each other's calls. Miami Beach homes, most of them were designed for those living in the homes only during the winter months. Today, more families, at least we do, live in our home year-round, requiring larger closets, kitchens, and storage areas. This is all in addition to the office space and the workout areas that are required. Families living on the golf course utilize personal golf carts to visit and play on the course. These carts are best stored in a garage with their related equipment such as golf clubs. This is preferable to storing the cart in the backyard, in backyard sheds, or in the side setbacks under an awning. Next picture, please. Thank you. To achieve these objectives, we need the board's approval of the following: a variance for lot coverage. We currently have a lot coverage of 37.3% with 2847 square feet, and we're proposing a lot coverage of 38.4% with 29.59 square feet. It's a lot coverage increase of 1.1% or 112 square feet. The variance will allow us the extra depth in the garage for a vehicle such as an SUV, and the golf cart to be kept inside instead of in the backyard of the home. Even though we are requesting this lot coverage increase from the existing lot coverage, you will see that our permeable area will increase as opposed to the permeable area that we currently have right now. It will increase in the backyard as well as in the south yard, south setback. This is visible on the left side of the screen and in the document provided to you today. The screen above on the right side reflects this lot coverage for unit size. On the right side, the proposed unit size is reflected. We currently have 51.8% with, we're proposing 51.8%, with 3987 square feet. The allowed amount is 50%, which is 3,851 square feet. And you see this in the screen above on the right side. The variance is an additional in unit size of 136 square feet or 1.8%, which is mostly attributed, as Rogelio mentioned, to the staircase, which is counted twice. It's counted for unit size on both floors. Next screen, please. The renovation will not demolish all the exterior walls or side walls of the existing one-story home. The renovation includes adding a second floor with the same side yard setback as the existing first floor of the home. With a lot width, as mentioned by Rogelio, of 60 feet, the required sum of the side yards needs to be, by code, 15 feet. Even though we are retaining the side walls for this renovation of the first floor, the planning department is recommending that we request a variance for the first and second floor side setbacks. This will allow the sum of the side yards to be less than the required 15 feet. The proposed sum of the side yards on the east side is 13.25 feet, and on the west side, it's 11.19 feet. This is partly due because the lot is pie-shaped. The proposed setbacks are the same as the existing side yards on the first floor, as mentioned previously, and would remain the same for both floors with the renovation. Next slide, please. There are homes on the road that did similar renovations and additions. That were able to retain the same side setbacks. There are 9 letters of support from neighbors on our block. A document provided to you today also addresses the addresses of homes marked in orange, as similar to the screen above, that provided letters of support. Couple of minutes.
You need more time?
Yeah,
Sure,
just
go
1
ahead.
minute.
Five
Sorry.
more minutes, good.
Go back to the previous screen, please. Or next screen, I'm sorry. Yeah. Lastly, on August 7th, the Board of Adjustment approved a variance to waive 3 feet of the minimum required southwest front yard setback. The Planning Department is requiring that this previously approved variance be reapproved at this time. While renovating our home, as mentioned by Rogelio, we added a mechanical room, which is opened on the sides and on the top roof, that allows for the storage of mechanical equipment. This will keep mechanical equipment from being stored on the rooftop, such as AC units, or on the side setbacks. It will house, hopefully, a lot of the equipment required for a home today, such as water heaters, AC equipment, and/or generators. In conclusion, the renovations are essential not only for our family's safety and quality of life and changes in lifestyle, but also to enhance the overall value and sustainability of the property. We kindly request the board's approval for the variances so that we can proceed with this crucial improvement. We're committed to working closely with the city to ensure our project aligns with community standards and environmental sustainability goals. We thank the board and staff for your time and consideration of our request.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and open it up first to public comment. Do you have anybody on Zoom, Mr. Madden?
Nobody's on Zoom.
Okay, anyone in the chamber? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to open it up to the board for questions to the chair. Questions? Mr. Essian?
First comments, thank you for coming here. And this is a long-lasting family of Miami Beach, like my parents, and I love that you guys want to stay in the house and fix the house. And I'm going through the same thing at my parents' house with the flooding. So hats off to you guys for taking this toll and wanting to stay there and fixing the house and making it better. Small comment on the driveway. I'm not sure what kind of material you're using, but you might want to have spacing between some type of like large tiles or whatnot to have the water absorb better. I'm not saying that you should, but I'm just saying that something for you to consider just to absorb the front yard water better. But I think that the house overall looks beautiful. Congrats on the design. I have a few ideas I would tell you to do on the house. I'll share with you later, but I think it's great what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
To your comment, Mr. Acción, or Acción, as I always have mentioned, the board or the building code, or at least the city now requires those pavers to be permeable when used in front driveways. So it will address the issue you made. Thank you.
Other questions? Quiet board this morning. Wow. I just had a comment. I think it's, I love the multi-generational that your son's raising their family there. I go out and I walk all the sites, and I did, walk around that area. And when I saw those pictures of the flooding, my dad's on 59th and North Bay Road. His garage got totally flooded.
Yeah.
His car got totaled, and to have to live with that, it's quality of life. I mean, and you're a longtime resident, stakeholder, in the city. So, and when I looked at the design of the house, and as compared to the other houses, pictures are one thing to see a picture of a house, but to go and see it, it gives you another perspective. You're really making a major investment for the long term. And I think the house looks great. I think it's going to fit in great with the other houses in the neighborhood. So, I thank you for, not going that route and knocking it down and going up, because, you know, this is probably, I think we had one at our last meeting, which was the same. You know, you got to weigh the financial impact of it, but you're basically redoing the whole house. So, you know, we thank you for that, and, you know, I have no issues, and will definitely be, you know, support you in this. So,
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Magler?
you.
Yeah, I have one question. I heard something about an intentional plan to create some sort of a area where water is caught and collected and then dumped back into the golf course, into the bay, and sometimes it works the other way around. But that this was done by whoever in the state or some municipality, whoever it was, whatever is going to be done in the house, is that going to in any way impact that setup where these collection basins are impacted in any way?
So in response to your question, Mr. Nagler, the city requires that you have a retention wall around the property, that you keep your water within your property. So that's one thing. And then there has to be drainage within the property to collect that water and take care of it. As far as Alton Road, what they have designed right now are which is about 60 to 80% designed at this point by the state of Florida. They're putting drains in the swale areas to accommodate the water that may flow in from the street into the sidewalks and swales. They're also putting in the 10-foot diameter pipe, which is extensive. But that's to accommodate Alton Road as well as neighboring streets. But that's not till the year 2035. We're working for that to be moved up to sooner, because as Chairperson Mr. Goldberg states, the flooding on these homes is beyond incredible. He has a brother that lives across the street. The house was flooded during the last rainstorm, and the water came into not just the house, where the grandchildren had to come out through the windows, but the cars, one of them had 30 gallons and another one had 20 gallons of water, damaging the two SUVs. As far as the golf course, the Lagos Country Club is working with an engineering firm to fix the drainage and the flooding that occurs. Once we put that perimeter retaining wall, it will keep their water from coming into our property. But they're furthering their investigation of what can be done with these low retention areas that are immediately behind a home and were required by Dade County Durham back in the 90s. So that hopefully will be corrected going forward as well.
I guess that's what we're not messing with anything that Dade County Durham is requiring. That's all I'm asking, really.
No. This doesn't affect any of the drainage requirements. Those would continue to apply regardless of the issuance of these variances. Those standards would still be imposed.
All right, thank you.
The only comment I'll make is, and I'm glad that you handed it out. One of my questions was 5455 and 5449. There wasn't in our package letters of support. So, I get you just handed that out, that you got letters of support from neighbors on
Those
both-
are
on both
additional
sides.
letters of support that came in afterwards. There's another 7 in your packet.
Yeah, but it's great, because, you know, a lot of times when these variances come, you know, some of the applicants aren't as proactive in getting the approvals, and it's always one of the first questions one of us always asks is, did you speak to your neighbors? Did you get a letter of support? And if there's not a letter of support, you know, we always question, is there something going on between the neighbors, a rift or something like that? So we
There's
appreciate the efforts in getting
Yeah,
that.
and there's another house there that's vacant on the block, and so I didn't reach out to them. But I learned that from Michael Larkin in the back there, to get support letters.
It's all good. Any more comments by the board? Mr. Davis?
Yes, I'm very familiar with the property. I live 5 blocks north of this particular house, and I'm also playing golf with the Lagos Country Club. I'm very familiar with the background, and frankly, the backyard situation, water lines is not great for them. It hasn't been great for a long time, and I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. What? Okay. Anyway, you heard me. I'm not going to repeat what I said. No, I'm just very supportive of the project. Glad you're spending the time, money, and energy to get this done for the city of Miami Beach to preserve the look that you have. So thank you.
We're trying to keep this Michael in Miami Beach.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, no other comments. I'll ask for a motion by the board.
I move to approve.
Okay, motion by Mr. Davis. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Essian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate your time. Okay, give me a second. That's done. Okay, let's go on to our second item, which is going to be, bear with me for a second here, ZBA 24-0162, 1691 Michigan Avenue. Mr. Madden, can you go ahead and tee that one up for us, please?
Yes, so this is, an application has been filed requesting a variance to permit an alcoholic beverage establishment that is closer than 300 feet from an educational facility and closer than 300 feet from a place of worship. So this is this building is a few blocks away here on 17th Street. It's on land that is owned by the city, and there's a long-term lease to the owner of the office building. The office building is currently undergoing a renovation. They recently had their facade reclad of both the office building and the parking garage approved by the Design Review Board. They're going back to the Design Review Board in a month or two to approve a driveway. This building has currently a drive-through teller for a previous bank that existed on the site. They're going to be turning that into a valet drop-off. I'm mentioning the valet drop-off because it's relevant to this variance, and I'll discuss that momentarily. So the idea here is that the applicant's requesting a variance because they're located near the Lincoln Marti School, which is on 17th Street, as well as the Cuban Hebrew synagogue that's also on 17th Street. So they require the variances due to the proximity to those establishments to have an alcoholic beverage establishment that is not a restaurant. The applicant is proposing a small speakeasy type establishment, which will be on the third floor of the office building. The location will have an occupancy of 137 persons and provide 97 seats. The applicant is proposing hours that will be, during the daytime, will be from, I believe, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Will be limited to the use of office tenants by reservation only. So if you're a tenant in the building, you want to have a special event at this location, you can call and reserve. It won't be open to the general public. After 6 p.m., it would be open to the general public. The applicant is requesting that they be allowed to be open till 3 a.m. Staff is recommending that that be limited to 2 a.m. However, we are suggesting that there be a progress report 3 months after the establishment opens before the Board of Adjustment. And at that point, if there's no issues, the board could potentially consider modifying those hours, or if there are issues, potentially restrict those hours further. The establishment, because it's going to offer options of self-park. They do have an on-site parking garage that is open to the public, or valet parking. This valet parking area is located on the east side of the property, and it's right next to an apartment building. So potentially that apartment building could be impacted by noise as people are going to their car after drinking in this valet area. So staff does have concerns. So we recommended a condition that this variance be tied to the approval of that driveway at the Design Review Board, as well as in order to make sure that there's a sound wall or something done to mitigate any potential noise. We do have concerns that as people leave the establishment, they're going to be loud, they're going to make noise, and that's going to impact people that are located right there because that apartment building does have units on the first floor. So with those two conditions of hours 2 a.m. and tying the variance to the approval of that driveway with noise mitigation, staff recommends that the variance be approved.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any disclosures? Okay, showing none. Mr. Larkin and Mr. Rodriguez, are you Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
You're going to be presenting. I'll go ahead and give you 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board member, staff. Michael Larkin, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing the applicant. With me today is Nick Rodriguez and Patrick Corey. Can we pull up the presentation? As Rogelio described, we are proposing a modest speakeasy that's well within the interior of this building. Next slide, please. As you can see, it's located on the south side of 17th Street, just north of Lincoln Road. The zoning district is CD3. To the north of us is the Palm View Historic District, and then obviously the south of us is the commercial center of our city, Lincoln Road. Next slide. These are pictures of the existing building. It was built in 2002, a public-private partnership, including a 6-story office building and an attached parking garage. The parking garage contains over 700 spaces, which is a huge boon to all the shopping that occurs in Lincoln Road. The patrons, I know I've parked there so many times I lost track. It's a great location to have a garage. Next slide. And this is showing the drive-through area. You can see the dark kind of cavity on the bottom elevation on the south side of 17th Street. That is what Rogelio was describing as the driveway there. Next slide. Robert Ravani is our client. He's the principal behind Black Lion. He has assumed the tenancy of this building. It's a good building, but it's somewhat dated. So he's making every effort to improve it. And this is an example of the facades that were approved by the DRB at the beginning of September. He really wants to revamp it and make it as nice as possible. In fact, he has coined a phrase he calls Class X offices, which is somewhat even better than a Class A office building would be. Next slide. This is one rendering of the valet area. We, of course, agree with staff's concern about shielding the residents to the east, and we'll have a very thick acoustic barrier there to prevent any type of nuisance from occurring in that location. Next slide. This is also just another shot of the valet area. Next slide. Right now, we are in a situation where Chapter 6, which contains all the regulations concerning the sale of alcoholic beverages, applies. There's distance separation requirements between places that sell alcoholic beverages and institutional uses such as schools and synagogues. So here, we need to seek a distance separation from the Lincoln Marti Daycare and from the Cuban Hebrew Synagogue, which are the institutional uses that are on the south side of the Palm View neighborhood and immediately on the north side of 17th Street. Next slide. Here is a floor plan. You can see the Speakeasy is located in the northern part of it, and then the employee lounge in the south part. As Rogelio mentioned, the Speakeasy will only open up at 6 p.m. For the general public. And we are proposing a closing time of 3 p.m. If we would stick with what staff is saying, closing time of 2 a.m., then all the people have to get out. Basically by 1:30, we're pushing them out the door. We spoke to Robert Ravani. Rogelio was kind enough to talk to me before the hearing and say that they're not comfortable with 3 a.m. So what we're proposing is a compromise of 2:30 a.m. That means that at 2 a.m., the employees are telling the patrons, okay, finish up, this is the last drink, you need to get out by 2:30. We think that's a reasonable compromise. I'll leave it up to you all to make that decision. Next slide. This is just a rendering of what it would look like on the inside. Next slide. Another rendering. This is the Speakeasy itself, quiet, intimate space. Next slide. Another rendering. Next slide. Next slide. So these are the hours of operation for office tenants, 8 to 5:59, to the public, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. just on Fridays and Saturdays, but again, we're willing to dial that back only on Fridays and Saturday nights. The rest we can abide by staff's condition of 2 a.m. So just on Friday and Saturday, we'd like to have it 2:30 a.m. We're having a DJ there, but of course this is all inside, but we will still install acoustic paneling to prevent any type of noise leakage to go out to the corridor. We don't want to bother the other office tenants, but it never will be that loud. DJs are just there for more atmosphere. Next slide. And that's it. And then, we reached out to Lincoln Marti. We had Patrick actually walk across the street, knock on their door, and they were very kind. And they said, well, you know what? The owner is actually, his office is in your office building. So we went to see him. He's Mr. Demetrio Perez, who's a legendary figure, he and his father, in Miami politics. But then now they founded this very successful chain of daycares throughout Miami-Dade County. And we spoke to him, and he is in support of this application. We have actually an email from him we can pull up. Is that possible?
Yeah, we can pull up the presentation again.
hard for me to read even with my lens surgery, but it's there. I thought my lens surgery was like the best, but not. But it's there, and he was responding to an email saying yes, curtly, no problem, we're done. Mr. Chairman, board members, that's it. We're here for your questions. Anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and open up to public comment. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, any public comment in the chambers? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to open up to board members for questions to the chair. Anybody? Jan, Ms. Silverman?
So you reached out to the daycare, thank you. You reached out to the daycare. Did you reach out to the synagogue as well?
I tried to go through Max Sklar, whose father, Oscar Sklar, was active at the synagogue one time, and then he told me he's no longer active. Then I reached out to Alex Tatchmus, who's a fellow zoning attorney, and he was active at the synagogue one time. He said he's no longer active. I used to live in Palmview for a long time, and it's been my impression the synagogue is just not that active nowadays. And I feel that, we weren't going to be any type of nuisance to anybody. And I saw that the daycare was daily active with lots of activity. So I tried to figure out a way to get in touch with the synagogue, but I felt that the daycare, since it's so active, I felt that we can go to them easily, and we did.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Mr. Assion?
Yeah, is the thought process that the majority of the business is gonna happen, for people that are obviously not in the office building, or is it just to attract more tenants because they have the speakeasy, so they figure that they're gonna be able to raise rents because this is an amenity for the offices, or what?
I think it's more in line of creating a new image for his Class X office, and that is an amenity for the tenants that will be there. I don't know, I think some members of the general public might come to it, but I think it's more just to have folks that are tenants there have a place to relax, like right after work. So I see it more of an amenity for the tenants, but because the operator is going to be H-Wood is a very well-known company. They did Delilah in Brickell City Center. The Nice Guy, they've taken over a building that's almost going to collapse on Lincoln Road, where Icebox Cafe used to be a long time ago. They're taking that over. And so they're making their presence known, and they're a great operator. So just by virtue of that fact, I think some members of the general public will come. But I also think that it's more in keeping with Robert's vision of repurposing this building to make it just as exciting as possible.
And then that valet entrance, is that on the Michigan side between the garage and the office building? Is that where that valet entrance is? I missed it.
Sure. So I don't know if we can pull it
put
back
that up?
It's on the ground floor. It's on 17th Street. It's at the northeastern corner. It functioned as a drive-through for the bank predecessor. If you look at that cavity right there on the upper right-hand corner, that is where it is right now. The traffic flow now is going from south to north. We're going to reverse that traffic, which is a little bit dangerous. We're going to reverse that traffic flow, have it go from north to south. And we just feel that it's a good place to have our valet.
So then when it comes out, it's going along the apartment building, and then it comes back out on the alley, and it turns east alongside of the apartment building as well to get out? Is that how it goes out, or no?
So what would happen, you would be driving, let's say, east on 17th Street.
Uh-huh.
You would get to this valet ramp area. You would
Right.
take a right,
Uh-huh.
drop off your car. You would pick it up in the same location. Then you would drive south to Lincoln Lane North, which is the alley. You would take a left. So we're heading east, but that's still a part of our garage at that time. Our garage is in that area of Lincoln Lane North. So when you hit the next street, our garage is there. It's not the residential building.
Got it. It doesn't flow out to Jefferson, is what I'm saying.
Correct. It's a smaller residential building.
Got it.
Good.
Thanks.
I just want to piggyback off Mr. Assion. I'm very familiar with the building. When I was with Colonial Bank, we were the first tenant. So we did the drive-through there.
I thought so.
And it was a little bit of a challenge, and we had to meet with the condo association next door and, assure them of, the traffic counts and how many clients we had and all that. But to that effect, is it going to be two ways? I agree with it going from north to south, right?
Yeah.
North to south, turning in off 17th Street.
Mm-hmm.
So where the valets are going to then, they'll be able to turn in the alley and go right into the garage, which I'm assuming they're going to park the cars in the garage, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so how are they going to bring them back? Is it going to be two ways, so they're going to be going the other way, and there's going to be a lane, two lanes, one on the east and one on the west side? Because if you do that, and I actually drove it yesterday, because I went and I
Yeah.
looked at the site and I drove it, and if you're going from south to north, it narrows going out. So my question is, how are you doing the egress? Is it going to be two lanes, one way? How are you going to pick up, the drop off? Really
Right.
important.
It will just be one lane heading south. With regard to the valet route, it's a little circuitous, but it would be you exit on, not Michigan, what's the street just to the east?
It's Lincoln Lane and then Jefferson.
Jefferson. So you'd exit onto Jefferson, you go north a little bit, you'd hit 17th Street, you take a left, you head west, then you hit Michigan, you take a left, and you would, well, I think you would just turn.
You turn east. When you pick up the car, you would go straight, and then you turn east, and you come right out to the street. So
Right.
it's really down the alley. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I did it yesterday, which I think will work. Have you had conversations? That condominium there is really key. Have you spoken to them? Are they for it, against it? Because this is a major change for them. It literally abuts that driveway. Because again, I did this challenge in 1999 when we got it done, and they objected to us putting the drive-through. We got it done eventually, but I think your relationship with them is going to be really important.
I agree, and I remember the public hearings.
You might have represented us back then, by the way.
I don't remember back that far, but I do remember the public hearings. There was a charming older lady that came out. She was forcefully against the project for many different reasons. Some of them were kind of funny in retrospect, but like I do remember her and a couple of other folks. So you're right. It's prudent we reach out to them, and we will.
Through the chair.
Mr. Essian?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Google Earth, and you could actually go into the driveway, and I see that the apartments there on the second floor, those are actually, I think, the bedrooms and bathrooms that back up into that alley. So I'm just thinking out loud that you need to do something strong for sound, because people getting their cars at 2:00 in the morning, that's literally in those, since it's an older building, that has those chalice windows, and
Right.
you're gonna hear right into that bedroom. I think that this is awesome what's happening with the project. I just think that you need to. And by the way, who knows what's going to happen to that building? Maybe in the future that building get knocked down and something else. But in the meantime, I'm sure you're going to have an issue with those bedrooms that run alongside. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no, I
mean,
do.
that's a bedroom right there. That's a bedroom. That's a bedroom. This is a driveway.
I've known that building for a while, and my gym happens to be Circuit Academy, which is just right next to Suit Supplies, so I go by there every morning, so I see it. And you'd be astounded nowadays what you can do with noise absorption materials. So we will make sure that it's blanketed on that first level, where the valet will once again make that driveway area become active.
Right. Great.
All the people in that building would have gotten noticed
Yeah.
for this, right? So, and
They would have got notice of the first DRB hearing, the second DRB
there's
hearing.
been no one has come forward and objected.
Right. No one's come forward.
Okay, well, okay, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Other questions from the board, Mr. Nagler?
Yeah. Two things. First, about what my colleagues have been discussing. Do those abutters have any, other than, I guess, public comment, do they have any standing to take a position on this? Whether it's here or in the DRB, whatever it is. I mean, it seems shocking to me how close it is. I don't know. Do they?
Well, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
And having gone through it, when I had to put the drive-through there, we were proactive in reaching out to them, which it sounds like council has been proactive. I don't remember if we got a letter supporting it, but I don't know if there was anything they could have done to stop it. Is that what I guess is that what the question is?
Well, what I'm trying to understand is it looks like there's the sound wall or whatever it is that's not there now, and it's going to be
open. No,
constructed?
it's completely open, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you can't just put a wall up there too.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, is that what you're proposing to do, to put something? Because that would change the whole game, because I know.
Well, it's wide open right now, right?
And I don't know if you can close it because from the standpoint of cars going through there and it being, you know, the fumes and all that, I don't think you can close
Well, I
it.
think one of the visuals, it showed a wall there. That's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
Did it? It did?
It's being enclosed. You can certainly do
Could you,
that.
could you pull that back? Can you,
yeah.
can you pull that
It
back up, please?
literally blocks one of the balconies.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. If we can pull that back up on the screen and just kind
That
of.
one, that's the
Yeah,
one.
let's take a look at. Yeah, so.
No, that's the one.
Okay, so that on the left, yes. Okay, so that is, okay, well, thank you for bringing that up. So that, explain what that wall is on the left. Looks like it has a name on there. Is that, I guess, going to be the name of this, the
Ravani.
speakeasy? Okay.
Ravani.
So what is that going to be? Like what material? It's not going to be a solid wall?
It's going to be a noise absorption material that's solid. There also will be water features kind of integrated within to also soften any noise that will come from the cars and patrons in this area. You couldn't leave it open. That would be a terrible mistake. And I do understand about how it was originally permitted as a driveway area. So it was permitted for that type of circulation. And we've had our architect look at this. That was one of my early questions on the Florida Building Code. Could this be permitted? And it was permitted, and there's still adequate circulation and air coming from the remainder of this driveway area that it's not going to be an issue.
So can you see through that wall? Like if you're standing on the right side, can you see?
You won't be able to see through
Okay,
it.
so it's going to be.
Well, all right. So this isn't even. I was just sort of piggybacking off of you guys. This isn't even my main question, but I'm just observing that.
Let's go back
Yeah,
to what it
well-
looks like now. Can you go back to what it looks like now?
Well, okay, if you want.
Yeah, I think there's a closer one on one of the other pictures.
And what I was saying was, I'm just observing. I'm thinking, right, that's open now. Okay, so I'm just thinking of like Fontainebleau, Eden Rock with like the shade over the pool. Remember that one? So I'm just thinking like the residents on that first floor, by building that wall, is that casting more shade? Is that preventing sightline? Whatever it is, that's why I was curious if they have like standing to take a position, because it seems to completely change their property.
It looks like
Essentially.
they're already in the
Well,
shade. If you look at the building,
yeah.
it
Well-
towers over it as it is,
It's
right?
a commercial zone, and
Yeah.
in a commercial
Yeah.
zone, you have 0 setbacks for your interior side yard setbacks. And I would argue that it's much better to look at, and we can make the wall as decorative as possible facing them, but it's better to look at that than an open driveway.
Anyway, that was an observation. Let me get to my real
Yeah,
question
go
is
ahead.
this. I think the variance, and since I guess it gives us the opportunity to put all these restrictions and whatnot on it, but the bottom line is the issue is that there's 2 properties that require a 300-foot separation. That's why they're here, right? And we can essentially use that, it's not a pretext, but as a reason to say 230 instead of 3, whatever it is, but really the issue is 2 properties that are 300 feet away, or not 300 feet away. So my comment, and I guess it's a comment, I did some quick math. You got the issue, the singular issue for you all to get this approved is, are we okay with putting this less than 300 feet away from these 2 properties, a school and a place of worship? That's the issue. And 50% of those you all directly reached out to. And 50% of those you reached out to an old friend, Mr. Tatchmees, a lawyer who used to know back when, or who used to go there but doesn't anymore. And then you said, if I got this correctly, it's on the record, but something like, you kind of like did what you felt was easy. And that you didn't actually, and tell me if I'm wrong, you didn't pick up the phone and call. You didn't Google their phone number and call them. You didn't open the yellow pages or whatever it is nowadays and type up a letter and put it in the mail and send it to them at their address. That if I'm, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no effort of any kind to make direct contact with the place of worship. And my math is that it's 28% less that we'd be allowing for, meaning it's 216 feet as opposed to 300 feet. So that's a decrease of 28%. Why didn't you guys, you have 2 places that are at issue, why didn't you send them a letter? Pick up the phone and make a phone call.
Well, I mean, no disrespect. What's that? We called it. Oh, you want to step up?
You want to step up?
Hey guys, good morning. Thank you for having me.
You were sworn in, right?
Yes,
Okay,
I was,
thank you.
yeah. Pleasure, thank you for having me. We, as part of ownership, we did call them. We never got a call back from them. We did put in calls to them. We left voicemails. We never received a call back from them.
Who called?
Me personally and my asset manager, her name is Elle, the two of us were also responsible for reaching out to both the school and the place of worship. There was never, we never saw anyone there. We were not able to get in. As he said, we did walk over to the school. It was the same process for both. We did get a response back for the school. Michael Larkin did reach out to his contacts, and we never made any headway with that.
Okay, and was anything ever put in writing, letter, email, anything?
No, never had an email for them.
Or a letter? No, did you all
No.
put anything in writing?
No, sir.
I think, I would have expected a little more effort.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Nagler? Okay, other board members? Mr. Krennic?
I assume that the temple was noticed as part of this process?
Yes, they would have been within the 375-foot
Yeah.
radius that
It
would have
would've been
received
by
notice from the
mail
city.
and
Yes.
other methods. So I guess just along the lines of what we've been talking about with the valet, to me, probably the valet is less of an issue potentially than just these days, and people aren't going to necessarily drive their own cars there, and in great volume, it's going to be Uber and Lyft, that people are going to be coming out, late at night and picking up. And is there any plan or, for that? And, I guess just second question is, hopefully this is wildly successful. I think you have a 97% occupancy. So, on a Saturday night, there could be an extra 20, 30 people waiting to get in. I assume the queuing would be inside the building?
Mm-hmm, correct. We would do that.
Okay. And then just thoughts on the Uber Lyft?
The principal entrance is over on Michigan. The cars, if you're self-driving, will go to this valet area, but the principal entrance, where the geo catch is going to be over on Michigan still. It'd be hard to get Uber and Lyft to switch it over to this driveway area. So some might come, but I assume most of them will come from the Michigan Avenue entrance and be able to get easily in that way. And there won't be any backup on the right of way.
Mr. Okay. You good, Mr. Krennic? Anything else? You good? Okay, Mr. Epstein?
Listen, I think the office building is going to be beautiful. I think it's a cool concept. I get what he's trying to do in general. I wish, unfortunately, that it was on the Michigan side. Obviously, this valet, it's impossible for it to happen. I get it. People are going to walk out to that sidewalk, get their Ubers, and talk on that sidewalk right next to these apartment units, and it is what it is. It's just part of the the changing element of it. My guess is that some of these people are going to eventually start to complain from it, and you have to do the best as possible to try to mitigate the sound between there and there, because obviously people are going to walk out to get their Ubers on the street. And these balconies are right next to this. I mean, literally, it feels like they're inches away, right? I would tell you to speak to the association and have a meeting with them just to explain to them how you're going to deal with this, because obviously they're going to be your neighbors. Again, who knows what happens to that site in the future. But for now, just to make sure that they are comfortable with it. I know that they have nobody here from, I reached out to somebody right now that I know is involved with their association, and she wasn't able to get on, but just reach out to them. I'm sure there can be a meeting of the minds somehow.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to who I thought was their property manager, Daniel Vetia, who does the property management company, but he no longer represents them, so.
I'll give you the phone number of one of the people that are on the board, and you could reach out to them.
Okay, I'll do that.
I got it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Epstein. Mr. Nag, let's get Mr. Davis. We'll come back to you. Okay, go, Mr. Davis.
Just a question for you, Mr. City Attorney. What is our authority to change that from 2 to 2:30? What power do we have to do anything with that?
Totally within your discretion.
Okay, because that was the only thing that I was not happy
I mean,
about with the.
they've proffered a reduced amount,
Yeah.
reduced time on the weekends on Friday and Saturday.
Right, I saw that
Um,
from, the proposal was 3, I think compromise was offered at 2:30,
Right.
and 2 AM. Is 2 AM set by city?
Well, I'll defer to staff Rogelio, but I'm imagining
it's a
it has
5
to
a.m.
be
liquor
consistent with what's in the area.
Isn't it a 5 a.m. liquor license?
They could potentially have
They
a 5
could,
AM.
yeah.
There's no restriction here that
Yeah.
would limit you any further. Staff is recommending 2 AM because of the concerns of the proximity to the residential building.
Mr. Nagler?
Yeah, is the place of worship still in business, so to speak? I mean, I assume it is. If it weren't, I guess it wouldn't be one of the one of the two things at issue. But is it still in operation?
I mean, the building's physically there, and the notice requirement does require that they be notified. They're within the 375 radius. I don't know if it's come back unclaimed or anything, but I can.
I guess I'm just asking if anyone knows. Like, is it in use?
They came to I believe the Historic Preservation Board a few years back to add a daycare facility there. So as of a few years ago, I know it was functioning. I'm not sure if they're still very active today, but they have, as far as I know, they're licensed and they're operating.
Did they add the daycare facility as proposed?
It relocated to Temple Emmanuel. They had it there for a while. I represented them, the daycare, but it relocated to Temple Emmanuel. As long as you keep your license active, you can shut down entirely. But in the city's mind, you look like you're open if you just renew your BTR.
But are they open?
Yeah, I just, sorry to interrupt this, but I kind of wanted to address, your concern with the Uber and whatnot. Right now, if you call an Uber, as Michael said, it will pick you up on the Michigan side, so it wouldn't automatically take you to the valet. And in addition, we're building inside of the lobby area, we're building an indoor waiting room, so anybody who's waiting for their valet won't be congregating outside. We're not going to have benches that you're sitting outside and finishing your drink. You wouldn't be allowed to bring the drink. You'd be inside. And then, as you mentioned, the queue is also, if there ever is a waiting to go upstairs, all of that does remain inside. And for us, we're building a Class X office, which is a notch above Class A. The tenants of the building are going to be of that Class X caliber, right? Hwood, as they mentioned, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are. They're a world-class operator. They offer high-end establishments across the world, including Dubai, LA, Las Vegas, Nashville. This isn't a run-of-the-mill establishment. We're not expecting people to be running amok and creating a scene. On the contrary, this is a very intimate, again, as I mentioned, high-end speakeasy. So I wouldn't be as concerned about those folks, because the Uber does now come on the Michigan side. So if they are calling an Uber, they're going to be forced to go to that side. And if they're waiting for their car, they're going to be waiting inside. So I just wanted to address
For the record, what's your name? I don't know if you gave your name
Sorry,
for the record.
Patrick Corey. I represent Black Lion.
Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Sorry, thank you.
Mr. Essian?
Yeah, with all due respect, I'm very familiar with the organization and what you guys are doing, and hats off. And that's why I say, I love the concept of what's going on. Regardless, people are going to walk out to the sidewalk. I use Uber every day. I'm sure you do as well. And when you call a car, if you drop the pin on 17th Street, it's going to pick you up on 17th Street. It's not going to pick you up on Michigan. So that's a nice thought, but it's going to happen regardless. People are going to walk out to the sidewalk, and they're going to be right next to this unit. I'm not saying that I'm against the concept. I'm just saying it's a reality that we have to deal with the ever-changing dynamics of these buildings that are by Lincoln Road. We want, the city in general wants to see more activation on Lincoln Road, wants to improve Lincoln Road, wants to bring more people onto Lincoln Road. So this is part of it, but we also want to make sure that we're not going to have, people that are right there being upset of having people just waiting on the sidewalk and whatnot, which is going to eventually happen sometimes.
Thank you. Question, the valet is only going to be at night, or is it going to be during the day too? Only at night, right? All day. Oh, well, let me tell you, for someone that was a tenant in that building for many years,
Yes.
that is going to be a really nice addition, because I always hated going to that parking garage.
Yeah, and it is
How
gonna
it's
be-
situated.
Right.
So for someone to be able to just drop off the valet, the car
Exactly.
there and walk right in, that's going to be a
Exactly,
good
yeah,
value
'cause
add.
Right
so.
now, as you know, you got to go into the garage, come down the elevator, come around. So this is going to be an added feature to tenants, to guests of the building, et cetera. And it is going to be 2 lanes that are both going to be headed south. So we'll have 2
Yeah.
lanes. It's not going to be two-way traffic. It's one-way traffic.
Yeah, so one other thing, and I'm surprised nobody brought it up, and maybe it's because I was a tenant there for a while and familiar with it. Lucky Strike was there on the ground floor, which it was big, bowling alley, full bar. I'm not sure what time they were open till. I mean, I went there many times, and that actually was on the ground floor, open, in kind of vicinity of some apartments and all that. So, this is going to be, is it the whole 3rd floor? The whole 3rd floor, or just part of it, right?
It's just a portion of it, and
Okay.
Michael had even shown kind of a site map of it, a floor plan of it, and only the speakeasy portion is what's going to be open at night. The other renderings that he showed are more tenant amenities that just happen to be on the same floor,
Yes.
but it's just a small portion of the 3rd.
So I'm bringing that up because I'm not sure if back then, if this ordinance was intact, the 300-foot, from a place of worship.
It was.
It was. So I would assume they would have had to get,
Yeah.
at that time. And again, to me, that, that would get noisy at times, Lucky Strike, when it was there. So, you know, if you just want to compare the two, I don't really see an issue because this is going to be inside, insulated, and you know, it looks like a great concept, and I think it'd be great for the building. It's great that you're investing the money in that building. It needs it. It was built in 1999, so it's time. We appreciate, you know, the company's investment, you know, into Miami Beach and doing that.
Our pleasure.
Chair, but
Mr. Essien?
nobody drove in or walked into Lucky Strike from 17th.
I was just addressing, I wasn't addressing the traffic impact. I was addressing more, you remember what is on the table and what we're looking at is a variance because of being 300 feet within a place of worship and a school. You know, I'm semi-comfortable with the Valley operation, again, knowing it very well and being a tenant in that building at the beginning, and we were there for about 10, 11 years. I think it'll work. I like what you're going to put up there. They are going to fight you. I'm telling you, they fought me. They fought me at Colonial Bank, but I don't think legally there's anything they can do. But, you know, I would just say, like we did, try and make nice to them because you know how it is when you deal with, you know, condo boards. Everyone has an opinion, and just try and give them comfort that you know,
Of course.
some of the things that you said tonight. Because, you know, I'm sure I would hope that they're watching this, but assume they're not, and, you know, reach out to them. And you know,
Definitely.
You have to be like State Farm, be a good neighbor.
you got to be proactive versus reactive.
We are.
So,
Patrick's much nicer than I am, so I'll let Patrick do
does
that.
anyone,
have a question.
Ms. Silverman, go ahead.
Just with regard to, 2 versus 230 versus 3 or whatever, you made a comment that the business plan of the proposed amenity floor, including the speakeasy, was more for the people in the building. Can you just speak to what your business plan is and how many people you
it's really a
expect to be-
hybrid. You know, truthfully, we wouldn't be bringing in an operator like H would if we were just trying to limit it to the tenants. You know, again, we want to really bring something of caliber to the building, to Miami Beach. Like we noted, just next door, they are opening Nice Guy, which is probably, along with Delilah, which they have in Brickell Bay Boardwalk, is probably the two of their best concepts that they have in the world. And so this speakeasy is kind of an offshoot of that high caliber. And so it certainly would be attracting locals alike. So it's not just for tenants. It certainly is open during the daytime for tenants. Immediately after work, we're going to be fortunate enough to have our office there. That's where I'll be having my 5 o'clock drink. But, you know, certainly if you all wanted to come in, anyone would be welcome.
After 6.
After 6, so yes, correct.
So I think, you know, it's important, and thank you, Ms. Silverman, for bringing up the time, because I was going to actually bring that up, that we all kind of be in agreement. You know, they wanted to be open till 3. They backed down to 2:30. I mean, is this board comfortable with that, with the 2:30? Just so we kind of know which direction we're going to go.
I think if it's a problem with the neighbors, it's the extra half hour is not going to be the problem. You know, people are going to be annoyed at 11:30, 12, 12:30.
Exactly.
You know, the extra half hour, and it does, again, our code is end of consumption, not last call. So this does, you know, as Mr. Larkin says, get it to more of a 2 o'clock last call. And you do have Milo over there, which is a competitor, friendly competitor, and you know, over on Miami and Windward, it's also, I believe, 3 o'clock. So, you know, again, we want successful businesses. We got to give them the ammunition to be successful.
And this is just Friday, Saturday. The rest will abide by 2 a.m. this
Well, and
Friday,
again,
Saturday.
it is, you could be till 5 a.m. if you wanted to. So
Right.
it's a bit, you're scaling back a lot.
And this is also a 97% occupancy establishment, so it's not.
Mr. Nagler?
Can we see the email again that was sent by the school?
Got it. Okay.
I just want to have an opportunity to read the whole thing.
Can we make it bigger? Can we zoom in on it?
The last part of the first sentence.
You should be able to, yeah, just keep, X out of that to the left, and that should open up to the whole screen. If you X out of that, it should, there you go. Now zoom it. Now you should
Who's
be able to zoom
Patrick?
it some more.
That's you.
There you go. Okay. Board, can you see that okay? That's fine. There's no need to bother with a call or take any further. I appreciate the heads up and your willingness to educate me as to the use, but there's no need. We will not oppose the variance. Thank you for offering to host the children. I don't know, for your Halloween event, it would be best for Maria to meet the director of the Child Care Center, Lenore, and discuss that with her. I will let Lenore know.
Yeah, that second
Yeah,
part
itself,
just has to
yeah,
do with the
that-
Halloween.
I think that's,
function that we're having.
it's good that you have that, and I think it's obvious it's a legitimate email, and I think that's important. And, you know, the other people in the area, they got notices, they had an opportunity. You have to come forward and say something. So, all right, so it sounds like we're all good with the 2:30. Are there any other comments?
No, I'm a big fan of the organization. I'm a big fan of the Lilas. I'm a big fan of Nice Guys. I think they're going to bring an added element to Lincoln Road and elevate Lincoln Road, which is continued to be needed, and what you guys are doing are fantastic. I just think that you just need to speak to your neighbor and make sure that you have a good meeting of the minds there, because eventually it's going to be an issue, and you just have to try to make it as good as possible.
Okay, I think we have someone on Zoom, Mr. Madden.
Yes, we have, Jose has his hand raised.
Okay, I think you want to swear him in, Mr. City Attorney?
Sure. Do you want to reopen the?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we're going to reopen the public comment.
Oh, he seems to have taken his hand down,
Okay.
so I apologize for that.
Must have been what you said, Mr.
Oh,
Wilson.
no, back up.
Back up, okay.
So we're reopening. The
Okay.
public
Reopen,
hearing.
Hi, thank
reopen
you.
the public hearing? Okay,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My
Jose,
name is
okay, we need to
Jose
swear you in.
Gavilando.
Just swear you in.
Yeah, before you start, I need to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and I'm
Absolutely.
going to set the clock for 2 minutes for you to address the board.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for reopening the public hearing. My name is Jose Gavilando. I'm on the board of the Jeffersonian Condominium, which is the building right next to the building where these proposed changes are. And I also have a unit that faces that driveway. And the board and many of the neighbors are very concerned because we already have noise problems coming from that driveway, and you haven't even started these operations. So this is a very peaceful building. It's an owner occupied. There are many older people here. And so our concerns are if you could do something to reduce the noise. And specifically, the things we thought about are, is there any way you could enclose the driveway so that it doesn't release as much noise? Or would you be willing to help pay to soundproof the units that are right next to the building? And I'm talking 15 feet. So we're literally right next to that. And I think since approving this requires a change, I was hoping that the board would take our concerns into consideration and make sure that our expectations as owners and residents of this building are taken into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to address that, Mr. Larkin?
Sure. So we are going to do the sound barrier as he suggested. That's no problem. That's already in the works. With regard to the support agreement, we require a support agreement for us to give funds to the association. That's something I can't do here on the podium, but when we meet with them and go through the details, we're certainly open to that.
And just a question, just to clarify, right now that driveway is an active driveway, so this isn't changing anything?
Correct.
Say inactive?
It is.
Well, it's active, you can
It's
use
a
it.
permitted, it can be used right now.
Yeah, yeah, you
So
Yeah.
even if this speakeasy and, you know, the building would want a valet anyway for its operations, and that doesn't need any variance, right?
there are some parking spots when you first turn in.
There are. It's
Those
used.
I think 10 or 15
It's about
parking
10.
spots. Okay, those parking spots are going to stay,
Yeah.
right?
And I see cars there every
Who
day.
parks there?
That's the Williams-Sonoma folks, the old Lucky Strike location. That's those Williams-Sonoma.
Okay, so those are assigned, so like the same people are parking there
Correct.
the whole time? Okay,
All right.
perfect.
But no problem reaching out to them, of course.
Another person raised their hand. I don't know if
Okay,
you wanna-
who do we have on Zoom?
Robert?
Robert, you there?
Hi, everybody.
Okay, you need to get sworn in.
Robert, before you address the board, I have to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you'll be giving will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to set the clock for 2 minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to hear our hearing about this. My name is Robert Ravani. I'm the owner for the building, and I want to address a couple of the issues, specifically the neighbors. In designing this building, there has been nothing more important to me to make sure that we could cohabitate in a peaceful manner. That is the reason why we are spending hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars to enclose that area and provide a sound barrier in addition to a water feature on the interior of the valet in order to further mitigate that noise. So that was the first thing that I thought was of utmost importance. Right now, that driveway is completely open. Delivery trucks are going in and out. People are using that as a way to skip traffic or go from Lincoln Lane out to 17th Street. So I think by making it one directional and enclosing it, that mitigates a significant amount of problems. Furthermore, while the speakeasy sounds very grandeur and big and it can cause a lot of ruckus, it's only 40 to 45 seats. So if you break that down into couples or groups of people, you're talking about maybe 10 to 12 vehicles in a given night. So you're not talking about an immense amount of traffic. So I think between, you know, the space only being 12 to 1,300 square feet with the seat count being so minimal, in addition to providing the barriers and the noise barriers, I think that significantly enhances any of the concerns that the neighbors have. And again, if there's anything else in addition that they would like, I'm more than happy and for being a good neighbor.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Ravana. We appreciate it.
My
Anybody
pleasure.
else?
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, last chance for any comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, just
Oh, I gotta
close the public comment.
Sorry, close the
Yeah.
public comment. Okay, no more comments. I'll ask to entertain any motions on the floor.
Motion to approve with the 230.
Okay, well, motion to approve with the 230, both variances. There's two variances.
With the variances and adjusting the.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Krennic, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Asian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
investment in
much.
Miami Beach. We appreciate it. So,
And there will be a progress report within 3 months of the establishment opening. So you will see them again before the board.
okay, thank you. Okay, so next item, our third item and final item is going to be ZBA 24-0163, 411 Michigan Avenue. Mr. Madden?
Okay, so this is an application has been filed requesting a variance to permit an alcoholic beverage establishment that is closer than 300 feet from an educational facility. So this is a similar type of variance as the one we just heard. This is at 411 Michigan Avenue. That's, it's a building that's currently under construction. It's an office building currently under construction. The site, you may recall the site, it sat for a while. They started digging the foundations for a previous project, and then the site sat vacant for quite a while. A new office building is currently under construction there. On the rear of the property, on the west side, there is what was previously a single-family home that was relocated to the corner of Michigan Avenue on the south side of the property, and that is a contributing historic building that was relocated there. So the applicant is currently requesting a variance of the distance separation requirement. They're located closer than 300 feet from South Point Elementary School, so that they can open up a restaurant that will serve alcoholic beverages. The restaurant will have a few different areas. One will be located in what was formerly the single-family home structure, and that will have a smaller component operating there. I believe it'll have a total of 51 seats in that area. And then in the office building on the ground floor and then in a second floor mezzanine area, they will have 184 seats with an occupancy of 214 people. I believe we've heard from the applicant, they submitted plans that showed a total occupancy of 270, that they actually can fit a little bit more, so you may be hearing a different number from the applicant. Staff is not opposed to modifying the number to the number that they're expecting, that they think they can fit a little bit more once they go in through permitting. Staff is not opposed to that increase as long as it remains below 299 occupancy, which is the limit in the code for a neighborhood impact establishment. If they are going to exceed the neighborhood impact establishment, we would prefer that they come back to the board and adjust the variance. They would also need to go to the planning board as well. The establishment, since it's located near a school, staff is recommending that alcohol only be served with full meals during school hours. So that would prevent somebody from sitting at the bar just to drink all day. It would have to be somebody who's going there and eating and ordering a meal, and then you could order an alcoholic beverage as part of that meal. After school hours, they could operate. Somebody could sit at the bar and just have a few drinks without ordering a meal. So staff is not opposed to this variance. It makes sense for the site. The ground floor was designed to accommodate a restaurant, and this does represent a hardship for the site because this is a major commercial corridor. This is the type of use you would expect to see on 5th Street, and so staff is supportive of the variance.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any disclosures on the dais?
I went to their Top Off event and spoke to them there, but not about this particular meeting. So that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Magazine, who's in the chambers, reached out to me this morning to show his support. He's VP of the PTA there, and his daughter attends there, and he's supportive. Not sure if you're going to talk, Commissioner, but just wanted to go ahead and disclose that. Appreciate you coming in.
Sorry, to that effect, I got a text message from the commissioner as well.
Okay, all right, well, that's what we have disclosures for. Okay. All right, with that, let's go ahead and tee it up. We got Mr. Larkin and Mr. Yano Palois. Is that you? No. Who's with you? Mike?
This is my colleague. Go ahead.
Benjamin Sherry.
Okay, got the names wrong.
That's all right.
Give you 10 minutes to present. Will that work?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's all yours.
Sure. So good morning, Mr. Chairman, board member, staff. Michael Larkin, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing the applicant. Can you pull up the presentation? With me this morning is Amit Khurana from the applicant, and we have Matthew Pender and Vedant Mamani. They are from the Friends of South Point Elementary. They are the nonprofit PTA that supports South Point Elementary. We've established a close relationship with them, not only for this application, but for another office building close by. We're coming here today with a great ground floor tenant for you all to consider, and it is important to disclose to you all that we've entered into a support agreement with the Friends of South Point Elementary. We've done this previously for our prior application for this property and for our new office building that's a little bit farther to the west. Next slide. So this is a development team of Sumad and Khurana and Busy and Partners. They have joined together to bring this incredible building that, I don't know if you all know it, but it was like a vacant 20% built subterranean garage had been excavated, and then the developer went bankrupt. It was supposed to be a hotel, so they came in and tried to fit an office building on top of an existing foundation. It was torture, tough, but we did it. And now they're populating the building with different tenants, and this is the ground floor tenant for your consideration today. Next slide. So this is a work product of Busy Partners. I worked with them on 87 Park along with a Terra Group, David Martin, and this is another one of their high rises to the right. Next slide. This is a work product of Sumad and Khurana. Again, elegant office buildings, residential buildings that they are a genius at doing. Next slide. The property location is situated at the southeast corner of Michigan and 5th Street. It's in the CPS2 zoning district. Next slide. Again, it has a CPS2 land use designation and CPS2 zoning. Next slide. It was back in 2022. We obtained a conditional use permit from the planning board for mechanical parking, and same year we obtained a design approval for the office building from the Historic Preservation Board. Next slide. This is our world famous architect, the Spanish architect that designed the office building, Alberto Campo Baeza. I'm proud to say I worked with him. He's a genius, and just he's going to bring, when you all see the finished product, you'll be really proud. Next slide. This is some renderings of it from different vantage points. Next slide. Next slide. This is the historic building that's situated in the corner of the property closer to 4th Street. We are required to maintain it. Of course, we're happy to do so. It's going to have a cafe for the overflow seating because the restaurant is going to be very popular, we think. And just like in Gotham Bar and Grill in New York, north of Union Square, they have a casual seating area and they have a formal seating area. We expect this might operate in the same fashion. Next slide. Just a view from Michigan looking eastward. Next slide. This is a view from the alley looking westward. Next slide. So of course, just as with a prior application, there is a distance spacing requirement between our use and South Point Elementary School. That's triggering the variance. That's why we're here today. Next slide. This shows you the distance. There's two distances, one between the school boundary and the cafe, and then one between the school property line and the restaurant slightly to the north. Next slide. And again, in order to satisfy the standards, either a hardship standard or practical difficulty, the way it is in Miami Beach, we're such a dense urban environment, it's very hard to separate restaurants from adjacent schools or other institutional uses. We're all kind of crammed together in South Beach. We don't have the luxury of space that you have in Mid Beach, where the single family neighborhoods are so well segregated. So here, our practical difficulty is just the dense urban environment of South Beach. Next slide. And this is the use. St. Ambrose is a famous Italian restaurant. It originated in Milan. It's spread throughout the world. It's fine dining. It's a bakery. It's a coffee bar. It fits really everything. It's going to be open starting at 8 a.m. and closing at 2 a.m. Next slide. This is the one that's already functioning in Palm Beach. Again, it's everywhere they go, they try to do the utmost in terms of design and service and the aesthetics. Next slide. They've made the papers in every single city they've been in. It gets in Vogue or it gets in the New York magazine. They are truly a force to be reckoned with. Next slide. This is just the menu. I always look at it. It gets me a little bit hungry no matter what time of day. Next slide, please. This is the combined floor plan of the restaurant that would be in the ground floor of the office building to the north, and then you see a smaller floor plan of the cafe that's in the southwest corner of the property. Next slide. This is a blow-up of the restaurant seating, again, ground floor of the restaurant of the office building. Next slide. This is for the mezzanine area, very small seating area in the mezzanine of the office building. Next slide. This is the hours of operation. This is the seating capacity. Next slide. And this is the variance. This is our request. Next slide. And then, of course, we agree with staff's condition about only that during school hours, alcohol should only be served with meals. Next slide. This is our support from the Friends of South Point Elementary. We're happy to continue to work with them. We've established a warm relationship with them. Next slide. And the only two conditions that we're asked for your consideration to modify is the seat count. As Rogelio described, we're still formulating it. It's a little bit loose, but we had asked for a maximum of 260 rather than 235. And then while we're not intending on selling many packaged goods from the cafe, it was the tenant's plan to sell Prosecco and wine on occasion, not all the time. But when you use the term packaged goods, that prohibits everything. And we're certainly not going to sell a 6-pack of beer, nothing like that, but we would like occasionally from the cafe area to sell to patrons bottles of wine or Prosecco, and that would be it. So those are the two modifications we're requesting. That's the end of my presentation. I would like you to hear from our client, Amit. He's an eloquent speaker. He's more passionate than I am, and he talks more than I do, but I've told him 2 minutes. So go ahead.
Okay, great. Welcome.
And I believe he has to be sworn in. He came in late. Okay. Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it will
Thank
be.
you.
Yes, it is. Good morning, board members. My name is Amit Khurana. I'm a founding partner at Sumeda & Khurana with my partner, Saif Sumeda. Alongside our partners, Davide Bizzi, Alessandro Polaro, and Serdar Bilgili from Bizzi & Bilgili, we are developing the fifth, an office building at 411 Michigan Avenue. When I first visited the site with my partner Alessandro Polaro, it was an abandoned, fully excavated lot that had been, was filled with dirty water, a literal swamp on Miami Beach. For those who lived there, it was an absolute eyesore, and it had been for many years. Yet when we saw it, we were filled with enthusiasm about the possibilities of what we would be able to develop there. We envisioned creating an important piece of architecture designed by one of the world's greatest architects, and developing an office building with design pedigree, quality, and craftsmanship unlike any other commercial development in Florida or perhaps even the United States. Catering to a sophisticated clientele that we develop projects for in New York, Italy, Turkey, and other parts of the world. Before considering who the architects would be, we discussed how extraordinary it would be for St. Ambrose to be the restaurant operator at the property. The Italian restaurant opened in Milan in the 1950s and has just been one of our favorites for many, many years. We generally eat at their locations, be it New York, the Hamptons, Milan, Aspen, and Palm Beach multiple times a week. The exceptional quality of their food, the impeccable service, and the chic decor of the restaurants, they embody an understated elegance that have attracted the most cosmopolitan of patrons throughout the world, and frankly our tenants, which is I think what's critical here. Subsequent to that site visit, we commissioned the master architect Alberto Campo Baeza and the celebrated interior architecture firm Gabellini Shepherd to design a timeless building, which it's almost a jewel box. It's kind of an exquisite jewel box. After we received approvals, we returned back to our vision of collaborating with Sant'Ambrose, and we were really fortunate to develop a lovely relationship with them. And we were thrilled when they agreed to come to the building, and we've begun our collaboration. And I think we really share the same values and the same sort of principles as it relates to just our love of quality and excellence, be it craft or cuisine. As we've developed the relationship, our building has developed, and we've actually just topped off, and the facade's going to begin being installed in the next few weeks. We'll be completing in the spring. Sitting in front of you all today, it feels like we're coming full circle, and moving towards just I think being able to have these sort of as exquisite Milanese specialties for lunch when it's completed. But in order for that to happen, Sant'Ambrose does have to be in a position to fully operate, and that means allowing their diners to be able to drink alcohol. We'd be very grateful for your support and consideration in improving this. And I'm certain that the residents of Miami Beach will feel the same when dining at the restaurant or bringing their children for delicious pastries and gelato at the Gelateria Pastry Cafe that they'll also operate at the property. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with that being said, thank you, Mr. Larkin. Let's go ahead and open up the public comment. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
We have Matthew Pender.
Okay, you want to swear in,
Sure.
Mr. Attorney, please? Thank you.
Matthew? Mr.
Yeah,
Pender?
I'm here.
Yes, hi. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to set the clock for 2 minutes for you to address the board.
Great. Hi, my name is Matt Pender. I live south of Fifth. I've been here 15 years or so in south of Fifth. I have twin boys who are in the 5th grade at South Point Elementary, which is the school in question. And I have a 12-year-old who's a graduate of South Point Elementary. For the last 5 years or so, I've been a member of a board member of the Friends of South Point Elementary, and I was formerly the president of the Friends of South Point Elementary. What our foundation does is we provide support for the school, and the reason why it's so important is that in the state of Florida is among, when it comes to per student public school funding, is among the lowest in the country. So we try to fill those funding gaps. Mr. Acione had brought up a phrase like a good neighbor before. I can tell you that Sumida and Khurana are not a good neighbor. They are a great neighbor. So when they started looking at this building, they came proactively to us to see like how they could help, how they could be a good neighbor. This is before anything was even, any ground was even broken there. If you go along Michigan Avenue, if you had gone along there, say 3 years ago, you would have seen a dirt patch there where kids would go out there and ruin their pants every day. When it was raining, it was a mud bog. When it was sunny, it was just clouds of dirt. Today, we have a soccer field there, an artificial turf soccer field worth a couple $100,000. And one of the big reasons we were able to raise money is because great neighbors and great friends, like these developers, partnered with us and inspired others to do the same. And so, you know, being a resident of South of Fifth, when I look at this project and when you talk about like this restaurant,
Let's do another minute.
there, I also face First Rate. I'll finish up. I could not imagine where I live, living on the street and not having Milo's outside my front door, where I live at the courts in South Beach. I think this will bring the same element to Fifth Street and to 4th Street. And I think people that have lived here can understand what that type of restaurant and what that type of establishment can do for a community. And so I don't think we're talking about a bar here. I think we're talking about something that is going to be a high-end establishment that is going to lift all boats in the neighborhood. So with that, I will turn it over. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Mr. Pender. We appreciate it. Anybody else for public comment on Zoom or in person?
I see no others.
We have one in person, sir. Come up. You've already been sworn in.
No, I have not.
Okay. You want to swear him in, Mr. Attorney?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and I'll set the clock for 2 minutes.
Dr. Mark Haskins, I am on the board of directors for the Softnet Association. I'm here to support San Ambrose. Our members have reviewed the plans. We think it's a great addition. We look at the, Fifth Street alone, it's been run down over the past few years. It's kind of like the gateway to the south of Fifth and, and the South Beach area itself. I think that this development and hopefully the development of the old Pier 1 will actually start, reviving Fifth Street again. But I think it's a welcome addition. And I'm here just to let you know that the entire Softnet board supports this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. Yeah, come on. Have you been sworn in?
I did.
Were you here? Well, he was here at the beginning, so he's fine, right, Mr. Attorney?
He was here.
Okay, can you state your name, please? And go ahead, 2 minutes.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, board, for having me. My name is Beto Guerrero. I am a member of the Friends of South Point Elementary board as well. I have 2 kids at South Point Elementary. And I'm here to support Ahmed and the St. Ambrose group. We believe the addition is welcome in the community. I'll just read this. Supporting local restaurants is vital to fostering a strong, vibrant community. And one down in this area is St. Ambrose. And its friendly staff and warm atmosphere make it a welcoming spot for families, friends, and solo diners alike. By choosing to dine at St. Ambrose, we're helping sustain local jobs, promote economic growth, and maintain the unique charm that makes our community special. Myself and the Friends of Side Point Foundation supports local businesses like St. Ambrose that can give back in so many ways. Thank you for your time.
And Michael Dudariza, also part of Friends of South Point, and I just second what Beto said. I won't take up much more time.
Were you sworn in? Were you here at the beginning?
I was sworn in, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I just second what Beto says, and I'm here to represent Friends of South Point and also representing my daughter who loves that restaurant, and she's super ecstatic that she can get treats there going forward. So I won't take much more time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else public comment? Last chance. Okay, we're not seeing no one on Zoom. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close the public comment. I'm going to open up to our board for questions to the chair. Mr. Nagler?
Yeah, one question. And no beef with not sending a letter. It looks like the relationship is there this time. My question is about this, I guess, proposed amended order. Is that the proper way to describe it? Paragraph, maybe it's B5 with the exception for wine and Prosecco. The way it's worded, I'm not clear if the wine and Prosecco would be also, is that only an exception to the no package of sale of packaged goods, or is that also an exception to the no sale of alcohol during school hours without a meal? It's not clear to me the way it's worded, meaning could you serve wine and Prosecco without a meal during school hours?
The way I would read that, you would be able to sell wine and Prosecco for off-site consumption during school hours.
Is that,
So
is that
if
the
it's-
intent? Is that the intent? I mean, that's how you're reading it. Is that the intent?
They're proposing the modification. I would ask the applicant what their
What's the
intent
intent?
is here.
Right. So it's meant only to modify the second sentence, and the subject of the second sentence is the sale of packaged goods.
Yeah.
So it's just creating an exception to that main subject of the second sentence,
Okay, so this is not making an exception to the,
not to the first sentence.
to the
Correct.
alcohol with meals.
Right.
All right, and that's on the record then, because
Mhm.
apparently, off the bat, we had 2 different interpretations from 2 different people, so.
It might
I'm
be
glad
good
that's
if we
clarified.
split that condition into 2.
However you want to do it,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's now been clarified on the record by counsel for the applicant. But obviously, it's subject to different interpretation based on what we just observed.
I think for clarity, what we can do is we can split that. There shall be no sale of packaged goods with the exception of wine and Prosecco, and make that its own standalone condition. That way, there's no confusion there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Assion?
Yeah, just for clarification, are you saying Prosecco, you really mean Prosecco, or you mean sparkling wine?
Sparkling wine.
Okay, because I'm, want to know why you were being racist to champagne. And just, you might want to.
I meant no offense to the country of France.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out that you were being racist to champagne. That's all I'm saying.
I hope my French clients are not watching.
In Cava.
Being upset at me.
Well, I just want to say I'm grateful that the developers have chosen to take on this project because obviously you're elevating the neighborhood. I'm also a South of Fifth resident. The Estefans next door are probably getting upset you overshadowing. Their building was a beautiful building. Now your building makes them look like just a random building. I love that. It's a gorgeous building, gorgeous rooftop. Milos is probably the number one elegant fine dining restaurant probably south of Fifth, and now you're adding, another element to that, which is great also for the neighborhood, and hopefully, you do the same on Alton and Fifth, and it will be great. So I'm looking forward to projects like this elevating our city.
Thank you. No? I got a question. Do you serve wine and Prosecco in other locations too? So is that like kind of what?
Can you please come to the microphone?
Yeah.
And champagne too, by the way.
That way, yeah.
They serve alcohol generally. I mean, it's just as in any restaurant, but specifically when they have packaged goods, they have Prosecco, and this is just an item that they.
Because when I went to the website, it didn't, looked at the menu, it didn't show that you can purchase, wine to take out. That's why I was kind of asking the questions on the other locations.
Because we'll have sometimes they sell goods. So if you go to a different section on the website, I don't know which one, but they'll sell olive oil, and it's just very. I think fairly innocent. It's just they have their own branded.
And I want to echo on what Mr. Yassian said. I drove the location yesterday. I walked it, and Fifth Street is so important coming in from Miami, and it's going to be beautiful. And thank you for the investment.
Absolutely.
And trusting in Miami Beach. We really appreciate.
Thank you so
doing
much.
it. So. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, with that, I'll entertain, I think I did close the public. I closed public comment. I forgot if I closed it or not, say it just in case. With that, I'll entertain any motions. Okay. Okay. Moved by Mr. Nagler, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Great.
Okay, pass. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I promise, Mr. Nagel, I will do better outreach to all parties in the future. I'm sorry about that.
And in the future, it would help if you bring samples, we see those pictures,
I'll bring
so
some
we
olive
can
oil,
have them after.
Prosecco and champagne.
All right, wait, okay, guys, with that, we have no other business, no appeals, no other business. Our next meeting is going to be November 1st. It's going to be a little bit of a longer one. We have 2 appeals on November 1st and 3 applications, so please make sure you allocate enough time for that. The appeals can take a little bit longer. Any other good and welfare, anything, Mr. Madden or anyone on the board? Okay, with that, motion to adjourn. Okay, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you for your participation. We appreciate it. Okay.